Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel and happy 2016. I hope the new year is treating you well so far and that you've been staying true to any resolutions that you've made. I'm definitely trying to stay on top of mine. I'm just trying to feel better mentally, emotionally. I'm trying to make more friends. I'm trying to confront my fears. And a few ways that I've been doing this is by I've been trying to meditate 10 to 15 minutes a day, writing in my journal, reading more. And another means that I've been going about fulfilling these goals is by listening to the YouTube channel called actualize.org. And if you've never heard of that YouTube channel before, I would highly recommend that you check it out. His videos are pretty long. They're about an average of 30 minutes per video, but I find it most useful when I'm getting ready for work or school. I'll just stick on a video and just listen to the audio as I'm getting ready, and it's really helps to change my perspective. Um, not only just kind of shifted my perspective on how I think about the world, but it's changed the way that I'm thinking about myself and how I'm behaving in the world as well. And one video that he made that really stuck out to me was a video on Judgement, and I will stick the link in the description box so you can watch it for yourself. But today I just wanted to kind of put my own spin on the concepts that he discussed in that video, and I'm hoping that after you watch this video you'll be more aware of the judgments that you make on other people and whether those judgments um, are important enough to stick with them in the first place. So a couple of semesters ago, over the summer semester, I had a professor that would incorporate some quotes into his lecture that he had us remember, and one of the quotes was by Steve Jobs that said, "We do judge a book by its cover." That was the quote, and um, if you kind of dig deeper and sort of look at how this quote was, how he came up with this quote, like when your first impression on something determines how you're going to think of that thing or person later on as you're interacting with it. So let's say you buy an Apple computer and you get the box, and the box is very nice quality, and you open it, and it's very efficient, and it's easy to open and see the product inside, and just that whole experience that you have unwrapping this iPad or laptop or whatever you bought, um, that the box is giving you an experience in itself, and you haven't even touched the product yet. So you're like, well, if the box and the packaging is this nice, then my product, this must just be the most high-end product that I picked well in choosing Apple over Dell or whatever. So that heightened, um, that great first impression that you got while opening that box is elevating your experience using the product later on. And the same goes for people. They say you have 7 seconds to make a first impression on somebody, and if you make a bad first impression on them, then they're more likely to to look for reasons as to why you are or aren't meeting that first impression that you made. And um, I think that judgments are more relevant nowadays because of just the vast amount of people that we interact with and the vast amount of information that we have access to. And and like if you think back to when um, before everybody was living in cities, and when you think back to when people were farmers and they only knew 10 or so families that they traded with, um, I believe that they were less strict on the judgments that they made about others. Or another way to say it, I believe that their judgments about other people were less important on the relationships that they made. Because if you had corn and you wanted to trade the lady across the street, if you wanted to trade her for potatoes, and she didn't, and you didn't share the same religious beliefs, you were more likely to look past that initial judgment that you make on her or something that she does that you don't like because you want to get her potatoes. So you want to make that exchange, and you're more likely to overlook the negative qualities that you may or may not agree with about that person. But now that we have so many people out there, that we're making judgments so quick, and we're basically robbing ourselves of having a potentially meaningful relationship with somebody just because they may have made a bad impression of themselves their first time meeting you. So another way to kind of think of this is like, let's say you're looking for a friend, and you're looking for a friend that is kind, and they listen to your problems, and they always pick up the phone when you call, and they play video games, and um, they share your same views on certain subjects. So you're creating this laundry list of requirements for a friend in your head, and when you meet people and they fulfill like 2 of the 5 requirements or whatever, then you're more likely to think, oh, well, there's so many people out there that I could be interacting with, so I'm just going to not give them a fair shot because they don't seem like they're the type of friend that I'm looking for. And um, and that's not how meaningful friendships are supposed to. That's not what they're supposed to be like. But I think that they're moving in that direction. That we come up with this idealized version of what we want in somebody else, and when they can't meet all of those ideals that we set for them, then we're likely to just not talk to them anymore because we have all these other people that we can test out and see our compatibility with them. Um, so that's one way that we just sort of judge people right off the bat. Um, Another way is that we um, is in our life we've had experiences or situations that made us feel a certain way, um, and that made us put up a wall against um, a person or a situation that we don't want to be associated with. Um, so let's say that I grew up with this is not true, but let's say that my one of my parents was an alcoholic when I was growing up, and they couldn't get through the day without having a glass of wine or a beer throughout the day, and it just kind of changed who they were. And so let's say that uh, so I'm getting these negative emotions from that parent, and it's making me um, create judgments about anything that is associated with alcohol. And um, and so let's say that the judgment is that I'm never going to drink for pleasure. Um, or let's say that the unwritten rule is people who drink for pleasure are weak and they lack self confidence or whatever it is. But because you're making that judgment on other people who drink alcohol, you're making a rule for yourself that um, if you were to have a drink or whatever, then you would think the same way about yourself as you think about other people who partake in that activity that you have been judging so hard. And to illustrate this a little more, I'm going to create a metaphor for you. So this is something that I just came up with. I hope it makes sense, but when you judge people, you're creating a wall. And the wall consists of brick and mortar. So the foundation of the wall is the emotion that you feel um, when a situation arises or something happens to you. So you're so when my family member drank, I felt confused. So that's laying down some cement because the cement is the emotion. So I felt confused. I felt helpless because I couldn't do anything to make them not drink. I felt worthless. I felt angry, sad, embarrassed. So all these emotions are sort of creating the foundation for building this wall. And the bricks themselves are the things that you're um, judging them on. So I'm never going to drink before 12 p.m. I'm never going to drink or use a substance to get me through the day and make myself feel better. I'm never going to drink for enjoyment because that's what weak people do, and I should be doing other things more productive. So all these things that are associated with drinking, you're sort of feeling these emotions that are fueling your desire to add another brick, and so forth until you have a wall. And this wall does three things. It prevents you from connecting to or understanding other people that you're judging. It's preventing you from potentially partaking in something meaningful or fun if you didn't have that wall to begin with. And it's creating an unwritten rule for yourself that you um, if you were to engage in these activities, that these bricks, so to speak, you would be judging yourself just as hard, and that that is going to make it so much harder to break through that wall. Especially the more emotion, the more concrete that there is to hold that wall together, the more difficult it is going to be for you to break down that wall and overcome whatever you're judging somebody for. Because if you think about it, if you let's say there's no emotion, but you just have a bunch of bricks, it would be so much easier to just push through that wall and overcome it than it is to push through the emotions that arise when you're trying to um, overcome something that you've held on to for so long. And also, it's easier to build walls than it is to break them down. Um, and so what I would like you to do is to just think about things that you judge people on. Think about the emotions that caused you to make these judgments, and really think about whether or not they are worth holding on to. And if they're not, then think about what you need to do to start chipping through that wall. Because at the end of the day, the judgments that you have about other people are hurting you more than they are hurting the person that you're judging. And, kind of tying this to being an INFJ, we set such high expectations for ourselves and we want to be perceived in the best light. And one way that I think that we do this is by making very strict judgments as to what is right and what is wrong. But like I said, ultimately, um, if you do want to change your mind about something and partake in the things that you've been judging other people on, it's going to be that much harder to break through the wall and accept that maybe you weren't making the right judgment when this wall came to life out of the emotions that you were feeling. And I think that it's going to set you up to build more meaningful connections with other people, but a more meaningful connection with yourself if you're able to take that rough journey and break down the wall and the emotions that come with it. And I think that you'll find that you'll be happier if you if you learn to let go of some things that aren't really that important in the long run. So I hope that this made sense. Please let me know if it did, or if you need some clarification, please leave a comment and I'll try my best to address any questions or concerns that you may have. Also, if you would like to talk to me about anything more in depth, then please feel free to shoot me a message. I know I don't reply to every single comment, but I'm trying to be better about being more mindful of your comments and the opinions that you state, and I really appreciate every one of you who leave me a comment, and I'm trying my best to be better about replying to them because I understand you guys want to connect with me and you want to feel like your ideas are important and that they've been heard. So, anyway, I hope you find this useful and that you enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one.